Welcome to Spiritual Cafe Live, where we walk together and support each other on the path to becoming more spiritually aware, enlightened, and inspired. And for anybody who's joining in who don't know who I am, I don't know why you'd be on my page and not know who I am. My name is Laura Wooster, and I have a lovely guest today, my friend and colleague, teacher, mentor, Rita Berkowitz. Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on today. It's such an honor to have you on.
Well, it's a pleasure.
So as we're getting people on and letting people join our stream today, I just want to mention, if you would like to comment, you just need to give permission to StreamYard to have your comments show up. So you just want to go to streamyard.com/Facebook to give permission for your comments to show up. Okay, so we can see them. Alrighty, so let me give a proper introduction to you, Rita. Okay, let me begin. Let's only take about 10 minutes. Here we go. So Rita Berkowitz is an award-winning artist, both local and nationally. She's the pastor emeritus of the First Spirituals Church of Quincy. She's an author, a teacher, a certified medium. She's one of the top spirit artists in the country, and she is also taught at the prestigious Arthur Findlay College. So welcome. And there's a whole lot more, but there's a whole.
It's too exhausting for both of us.
You're an overachiever. Okay. It's all good. So for people, I mean, I have to say, I met Rita many years ago. Gosh, it must have been 14 years ago, perhaps. I'm not really sure. When I started coming to your classes at your office, right. And I got to say, I got to count you as one of my top 4 teachers. You're the person who set the tone for my mediumship. You set the bar high, and I got to say, I was often nervous because I'm like, I don't know if I could live up to this. I'm not the best medium in the world, but I'm a better medium because of Rita. I really have to be completely honest about that. You really did have a huge impact on my development, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
So for people who don't know, like, I got to ask, because a lot of times I always say this.
Yeah.
It's like nobody ever grows up saying, I want to be a psychic medium.
No.
Yeah, never. So how did you get into this? Were you the artist first?
I was the artist first. Okay. I was an artist. I had a studio in the South End in Boston. I was teaching art on the college level and having myself a wonderful time. It was the 80s. I was an artist who can ask for more, right? Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine said to me she wanted to take a psychic development class, and she believed that I was extremely psychic. And I said, yeah, right. And then she said, I will pay for your class. Just take it with me. You can give me a painting in exchange, but I will pay for your class. So I said, okay. And I really went to keep her company. And then when I went to the class, it was like everything just came like so easily. And when nobody could get something, the teacher would hand something over for me and say, well, what are you getting, Rita? And then she asked, she gave me a reading that was a gift from that particular friend. And after she gave me the reading, she said, wow, you are really meant to be doing this. And, you know, I was teaching college. I was an artist. I was very happy doing what I was doing. Went to the Swampscott Church of Spiritualism because I had nothing to do at Christmas time. No, I went with another Jewish woman, and you know, if you're Jewish and it's Christmas time, it's very boring. But I went ahead, I went to do this, met some people there. There was a woman in the church that kept saying to me, you're going to be a spirit artist. And I would say, please leave me alone. That's not what I want to do with my life. And literally, she had to drag me. And so I finally agreed to come in and to try spirit art for the first time. And I did 3 drawings. I did one of a Native American man, which for me is no big whoop because, you know, you can't prove it. And then I did a middle-aged man, and then I did an adolescent boy. And after I drew the adolescent boy, a man took his wallet out, laid a photograph of his son next to it, said, I can't thank you enough. This is my son. He passed in a car accident.
Oh my goodness.
At that point, I didn't even know you were supposed to give a message. I just did it, just did the drawing. Here's your drawing.
Right.
And then I looked over at the woman that I did the middle-aged man for, and she was sitting there with tears rolling down her face and said, "This is my father." And I realized at that point my life was never going to be the same.
Yeah.
Because it's an awesome responsibility to be given a gift like that. And I know over the years, I've been doing spirit art since 1984, 85. So I've touched a lot of people. I know how many people have told me over the years that this did so much for me. It's absolute evidence. You didn't know me before I came. You sure didn't know my husband, brother, whatever person it happens to be. And the fact that you drew a likeness of them and that it's recognizable that it's that person, help them to heal. And that's what this is about.
Exactly. Yeah, it's about healing. Absolutely. So you did go into this kicking and screaming, basically.
Kicking and screaming, not what I wanted. I mean, it was the 80s. I had a studio in the South End. It was party time there,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, church? Firstly, Reverend Berkowitz is an oxymoron. So go to church. I didn't tell anybody in my family for years that I was going to church.
Oh, I can imagine.
So it was a little challenging. And, it just ended up being that just one thing led to another, to another, to another, to another, to another, and opened up. I mean, I didn't seek it out, which is the thing that I find fascinating, that I know if things don't go the way they're supposed to go, it's not in my best interest to be doing that now, whatever it happens to be.
Right.
And if it does go the way it's supposed to go, then doors open up. And I trust in that divine order. So it kept saying, this is what you're doing next. This is what you're doing next. And then, Bob Olson contacted me and, I did a drawing for him and that was proven. And then, and 1 year I did a drawing for him that was like a great, great, great uncle, and his mother found a photograph.
Oh, wow.
And it was, and he was like a Yankee soldier or something like that. So it was, it just kept opening up. And, before I went to England, Glyn came here to a friend's house. We sat in circle.
Glyn Edwards? Really?
Glyn Edwards, yes.
Wow.
So Glyn is the person I actually call my real teacher, because he pushed the heck out of me. So it all sort of came together. And that's when it's supposed to be, when it just unrolls, it just flows.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So you were the spirit artist first, and then you became the mental medium, right? That was.
No, they happened simultaneously.
Oh, it did. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, within the first year, I was already doing drawings.
Oh my goodness.
I had started to study at the church, at Swampscott Church of Spiritualism. I started to study there. And then one of the teachers there, who was not my teacher, kept saying, you have to come in, you have to try this. I keep being told you're a spirit artist.
Okay. Okay. So it happens so much else. Wow.
Yeah.
So I can imagine all of the student mediums who are watching are saying like, oh my goodness, so you're studying mental mediumship and spirit art at the same time and develop it. That's amazing.
Well, nobody ever taught me spirit art. It just happened.
Wow.
Just
Do you think you did this in a previous life?
I don't necessarily think it's from a previous life. I really feel that from the time I was a kid, I would always know things. I would always, see things. I would relate to other cultures. I know I've had plenty of past lives. I've spent a few times, some time in each one, seeing them again and seeing what I did. The artist, I was an artist in a past life. If we go back to the Middle Ages, I was a medium then. Got in a lot of trouble for being a medium then. We know what they used to do to mediums then. So, we stopped doing that. And, but, consequently, my life ended abruptly that lifetime.
Right. You had a chance to do it all over again.
To come back and do it all over again. I really think that for me, it really was a matter of, and I truly believe this, Laura, I think that spirit will take whatever gifts you have
Mhm.
and impress upon you to use them.
Yeah.
So if somebody is a writer, they may get more stories about the communicator. I'm visual.
Mhm.
You know, I've been an artist since I was a little kid. So the visual piece was always very strong for me. So, you know, what happened was in that first class I was talking about, and we're talking 1983, we were doing transfiguration.
Wow.
And transfiguration was a way where the communicator forms over the face of the medium.
Mhm.
And so I said to the teacher, because she tried to photograph them with, you know, her Brownie Instamatic camera, because that's what we had then.
Right.
And she tried to photograph it, and every time the flash went off, it disappeared. So I said, look, I can draw anything I can see. So if I can see it, I can draw it.
Mhm.
And she said, well, try. And people were like, oh my God, that's exactly what I'm seeing too. But again, we didn't know who these people were.
Right.
We just saw spirits coming in. And then didn't do anything for probably a little over a year until Barbara Farewell got me and started walking around behind me saying, you're going to be a spirit artist. And I'd say, leave me alone, Barbara. Not what I want to do with my life. And so it ended up being that, you know, when I did that, then I said, I can't say no anymore because it's too profound.
Right.
You know, it wasn't like I was just coming, you know, and trying to sketch faces.
Mhm.
It was like, wow, this belongs to you and this is who it is.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
so
Yeah,
that's
an
how it
amazing
happened.
process. So that back in 83, I can
Yes.
imagine it's not a mediumship is not as accessible as it is now. It wasn't
Oh, not
accessible.
at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. You had to go to a spiritualist church to really learn about mediumship.
Mhm.
I was brought there by a Jewish woman who said, let's go here for Christmas and see their winter celebration service. And then somebody said, I knew I had finished the studying that I was going to do with the woman I had started studying with. And
Mhm.
you know when times are right and times are wrong and when it's time to say enough. So
Yes.
I knew that she had taught me what I was going to learn from her. And I went to the spiritualist church for that. They announced a philosophy of spiritualism. I actually went into the spiritualist church because I was much more interested in healing and in philosophy. Because spiritualism is, you know, we prove continuity of life, but it also has a very, very strong philosophy.
Yes.
And, you know, that's something I've always been fascinated in. And so I went to the philosophy class, and then, you know, he would give us little exercises and little tests to do while he was teaching us the history and so on and so forth. And again, you know, snap, 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 it just kept coming.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, you know, and then when the drawing started, then I knew that was it.
You're done.
I'm done. That's
You
it.
were
They
done
got me.
for
They
it.
hooked me. Yeah.
So, obviously, having been in this work for so long, which is wonderful. I mean, it's like your royalty right now. It's like you really are. I really still look at you like mediumship
The
royalty.
old grand dame.
I mean, to actually have Glenn Edwards as one of your teachers, amazing. I got to see him at Arthur Findlay College about a year before he passed. I actually got to take one of his classes.
It broke my heart.
So
Yeah,
what a
I still like, you know, he's still somebody so special to me.
oh, wonderful. Yeah, amazing. I didn't get to see him do the work that I heard that he was able to
Oh
do
my
before he
God.
got sick, but
You know, I would, and he was so dramatic while he was doing it. And, you know, I clearly remember somebody said, you know, well, how do I know that that address belongs? You know, how do I know that you really have my grandma? And he turned around to the podium, put his head down like this, turned back and gave the woman's license plate number and address.
incredible.
And, you know, it's like, you know, that to me is like incredible. And I got to spend some time in England with him. We traveled around a little bit and, he had so many wonderful stories. We went into these old abbeys and we went, climbing up these ancient staircases and, it was just phenomenal.
Oh my
Just
goodness.
phenomenal.
Oh, I would, to be a fly on the wall at that time, I would have done anything to be.
Oh my God, it was amazing. It
Oh,
was
that's
amazing.
Oh my goodness, I mean, unbelievable. So, how do you feel like having seen mediumship progress over the last few decades and to become so much more acceptable and much more known and just more accepted into the uh, yeah, into the general public
General
and
public, yeah.
yeah, how do you feel that's changed mediumship?
Well, it's changed it a lot.
Yeah.
Mediumship really started out as a religious pursuit for spiritualists.
Mhm.
And, it was really set on you're going to become a spiritualist. And then when you become a spiritualist, you study mediumship.
Mhm.
It's not that way anymore. We know that a lot of people go to classes wherever in, a new age shop, which is wonderful. I mean, I teach in Women of Wisdom, so that's totally perfect. But they're taking a different route.
Mhm.
The teachers are not as strict as they were with us.
Mhm.
Because, when I was in England, if you were meditating and either you fell asleep or they knew that you weren't really into it, they'd come by with a ruler and smack your foot because you were lying down. And, my teachers would say, that's not enough information. Get more. That's not enough. But not like, okay, do you have any more, honey? Wasn't that?
Yeah,
It
it
was
is
like,
very
get more
different.
information. You got more than that. I know you have more than that. I can feel it. So, as you remember the exercise that we did in class, linking into the link, that's what the teacher does. They link into the link to know that it's happening. And so, yeah, it
Very
was
different.
very different. It was strict. It was few and far between, again, because there really were no new age shops at that time. The first ones that I knew of, Women of Wisdom was one of the first, and they opened up in 97, 98.
Mhm.
I think only Open Doors was around before then.
Mhm.
And then you started seeing one open up here and one open up here and one open up here, some that are still here, some that, didn't make it as a business. Some that had a wonderful vibration when you walked in, some maybe not so much. And you walk in and you could feel what was going on there. Well, after I started to, and this was a wonderful story, I started to do some spirit art. I was asked to do a benefit for a woman who had gotten in a serious car accident. Her mother was a famous astrologer. And so I went to do that. And the person who came down, my first subject, shall we say, ended up being, because we just confirmed it after all these years, ended up being Tom Frederick, who is the person, he's a Native American man. He teaches what earth healing at Women of Wisdom. He teaches the schools of earth healing.
Mhm.
And unusual is that something happened in his life where he turned totally white. Now he's got a little black in him, most Native American.
Mhm.
Okay, he should not be pure white. He is so much lighter than I am that we joke about it, about, he calls me a white woman and I laugh because, he's whiter than me. But anyhow, at that point started his path, and he started doing the work also. And for years we sort of traveled, across each other. We were together at that one demonstration. I was scared to death. It was my first public demonstration. I started to sketch a Native American man, not knowing this very white man had a Native American grandfather. And so I sketched him, and then I said, and he keeps saying to me, as the crow flies, as the crow flies. And then he pulled a pendant out. He said, "This is what my grandfather gave me right before he died." And it was a pendant of a crow.
Oh my goodness.
And the words that he said to him was, "Go as the crow flies."
Oh my gosh.
So
how can you deny that evidence? Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Yeah.
So,
I mean,
so it's that when you have things like this that happen continuously as you're doing the work, you can't deny the work.
right.
And you totally trust it. I mean, the last demonstration I did with Joanne Gerber.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the times that Spirit said to me, "Just trust. We're not giving you," usually they give me a little inkling before I get up to the easel what I'm going to be drawing. "Just trust." And I had no idea for any of them. I just let my hand go. And then the information would start to come out. Beautiful. They already showed me something for Friday night, though. I'm very glad.
Already? They're showing up already?
They're showing up already, yeah.
Before I should mention that before we go any further, absolutely. Like Friday night, May 7th, myself, Rita Berkowitz, Lori Sheridan will be doing a fundraiser for the First Spiritualist Church of Quincy online. So you can be anywhere that you have access to the internet. You can actually be a part of this. And it's 7 o'clock on Friday night, May 7th. So I think it's only $20, I believe. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's a bargain. So, and it helps the church to keep their doors open during COVID. So that it'd be wonderful if we could have your support. And if you've never seen a spirit artist's work, this is your chance to see a beautiful spirit artist at work here. And it's amazing to see the image just start to appear before your eyes as you're bringing them through.
It's like they come to life.
Yeah.
And it's, and I wish I could say it's all me. But I know if I were painting it, it wouldn't come out as fast, and it would probably be more, erasing, doing little things as I'm doing it. Whereas here it's just boom, done.
Boom, there it is.
There it is. There she
and it happens so quickly. And it's remarkable. I could watch it for hours. Honestly, it's just amazing. So how has your work changed over the years?
You mean in the spirit art?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Or has it been consistent? I mean, because
it's been relatively consistent. I can't think of how much. I mean, at the very beginning when I started to do it, and this is a change that happened. I felt like they were all different people doing the drawing. That I had different guides coming in that were actually doing the drawing with me, because you could see the drawing style was different in each one.
Wow.
And now it's like either I have the same guide that's always drawing with me, and now they trust me to do it myself. I don't know. But it really is, it's much more consistent. It's, it was always, they always came out pretty quickly. But there was a very marked time at the very beginning that the drawing styles were very, very different, and very much pertaining to the communicator's personality. So if they were very shy, it would be a very light, faint drawing. And if they were came out like gangbusters, so did the drawing. Now the drawings come out in a fairly consistent style. And the information that's coming in while I'm drawing is that much more.
Oh, fantastic. So I've noticed that, this is something I always say to my students, is like the way that your mediumship is right now, at least for mental mediumship.
Yeah. It's going to change.
It's going to change. Yeah. Don't get used to it.
And there are times that I've been on a platform when I got a different guide. And all of a sudden it felt different, because as my hand is going, it feels a specific way. And then all of a sudden it felt different. I go, oh goodness, what's going to be going on here? What's going to be happening? Because you're in front of a group of people, and you're demonstrating, and they're like that other night that I did with Joanne, where they said, "Just trust. We're going to show you could trust us." Because every so often, it's a little nerve-wracking sometimes to get up and to do a drawing, no less to do a drawing of somebody that has to look like somebody that belongs to somebody that's in the audience who you can't see.
Right.
So it's that much more so. Yeah. And over the years, I mean, even outfits or colors of outfits or different things that would come through that have blown me away. It's like, where I did because most of my drawings were done via phone back then. And so, when I would do a drawing of somebody and, the person's living in Iowa and they send me back a photograph of the woman wearing the same blouse as I drew in the picture, or the same exact color, or that was her favorite color, or that, so, it's, again, I was never one to question or not the continuity of life. It just sort of was there.
Mhm.
And now I have absolutely no doubts. And if anybody says otherwise, I say, you're entitled to believe whatever you believe. I know what I've experienced. And what I've experienced tells me this is truth.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's funny. I was just going to ask you about how do you address skeptics, and then you went right back. You went right into it.
Have a connection going on here.
Yeah, we have the same birthday too, so
Yes.
we share the same birthday. So I know, because you've been around so many. You're a part of all these amazing circles of mediums. You've spent time at Sir Arthur Findlay College, and is there anything that you can share publicly, as far as like any kind of like paranormal type of experience that just blew you away? Just
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
yes,
At
okay,
Arthur Findlay College.
right.
It was the mediums night, which we would all go into the church and demonstrate. There were 8 mediums from around the world. So that's one of the things that's so exciting is, so there were 4 of the instructors that were there and 4 students. We went into the library about 11 o'clock at night. And, it's, if you've never been in there, it's an old English manor house. It's got huge drapes. We close the drapes. You can't see anything at all. And coming from what looked like under the door was this white mist that looked like it was about the size of a love seat. Wow. And that's how I would describe it. It didn't come in as a figure. It just was this shape that came in. And it went behind 2 people. And at first, Glenn, who was sitting next to me, starts to snore a little bit. And everybody said, that's when we know that Glenn's in touch with spirit. Whatever you're saying, okay. But, I said, look at that. And Glenn goes, oh my God. And then I went, oh my God. And then Glenn goes, oh my God. And then I went, oh my God. And it came and it went right behind these 2 people. It
Wow.
stayed there for a good 40 minutes. And afterwards, one of the people that it was behind was a woman who had problems with her back. She was walking she was young, she was 38. She was walking with a cane, was taking medication for the pain. And so after everything ended, everybody's like as hyped as, because everybody saw it.
Yeah.
And she said, I can't feel my back.
Oh my goodness.
And we said, oh my God, are you okay? She said, I can't feel my back, because she was so used to the pain that when she didn't feel the pain, she said she couldn't feel her back. So she goes upstairs, said, I need to go to bed. Go ahead. We were all so hyped up. We were up talking till 4 o'clock in the morning, which is not good when you start teaching at 8:30. But so she comes down the next morning, no cane, as she said, no tablets, which means she didn't have to take her medication.
Right.
That night, she went to the pub, which there is a pub at Arthur Findlay College.
Right.
And everybody does like to go to the pub after you spend the whole, 12 hours meditating and doing spirit work. You go to the pub and get drunk. But, she went to the pub and danced. And she was fine, totally fine for about 6 or 8 weeks. And then it came back. And so, I asked Spirit so many times, what happened? Why didn't the healing? And they said, whatever it was that she was supposed to learn from having that in her back, she didn't get it. She didn't get the
Oh.
lesson.
Hmm.
So it came back. You know, maybe the lesson was to believe that, you know, spirit did heal her. Maybe she kept checking for the pain. You keep checking for the pain, it'll come back because you're looking for it. So you're manifesting it again. I'm not sure exactly what happened. We were in communication for a short period of time after that. And then everybody's life went in different directions. But that was probably the most profound thing that I experienced, phenomena that I experienced in actually seeing something like that. And then a few weeks ago in Women of Wisdom, I have a very dear friend who went to Spirit, who is an African American diva, and that's how I would have to describe him. And I always wondered, I mean, we were really close friends. We did Thanksgiving dinner together for years. And, you know, we would put on this big Thanksgiving dinner. And we were, you know, very close. And then after he passed, nothing. I got one very, very brief little message. That was it. And I was always like so sad, you know, that I didn't get something, you know, in all the circles that I sat in, I didn't get some message.
Right.
Well, a few weeks ago, there is this young woman in my class who is a diva, no question about it, is African American. And she went into full trash. She was so overshadowed by him. I could see him. She was moving in the way he would move. She was talking the way he would talk. And so much so that I called his partner when I got to my car to say, "You're not going to believe what just happened." AC finally came through.
Awesome.
And, you know, and her mediumship, she was about ready to quit, saying she didn't think she was good enough. And now what she's doing is just incredible. So it was such a beautiful, beautiful thing to see this transformation that happened in her. And she put diva on her business card now. So
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. That's amazing.
so,
And
you know,
it's
yeah.
incredible how spirit will recognize when someone is struggling with the faith in what they're doing.
And when somebody is ready too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when somebody's not ready, they let you know they're not ready.
It's true.
When somebody is really ready, the doors just open. And I truly believe it, because it is all in divine order. And I believe that in all facets of life, good, bad, difficult, whatever, that all things are in divine order. So when AC came into her, and I said, he was waiting for a diva that's just like him.
Yeah.
You know, and she would come in with big flowing clothes, which is what he always wore. So, you know, the commonality between the two of them and, you know, his former partner is, you know, so thrilled that he came through. And his AC picked out Bill's new husband, who I had the pleasure of doing the wedding ceremony for.
Oh, wow.
So again, it came all the way around.
Chills.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Oh, it's amazing. What advice can you give to people who are new students to mediumship?
The new students, the most important thing to learn is to learn how to trust. To trust those little sounds you're getting in your head, to trust the voices that are talking to you, to trust if they're, you know, if you're giving a reading and all of a sudden you feel a twinge in your stomach, to realize it's probably not you, that it probably is I mean, that's how I always will feel them. I get a twinge in that part of my body where they had their issue before they passed. So at first you don't know that that's what it is. Oh my God, I've got a sore throat, you know, is it mine or is it theirs? That's the first question. And to always to remember not to wait and listen, but to ask the communicator the information, like you're having a conversation. And Mavis Patilda always says, act like you're having a cup of coffee with them.
Yeah.
You know? And so if you're having a cup of coffee, the conversation is good. Yeah. You're not going to sit there like, you know, just looking and hoping that they say something to you.
Right.
You know, The conversation is good. It's a wonderful thing. It just let it pop in your head, because that's how it happens. Let it pop. That's an expression I use the first day of class. Let it pop.
Let it pop.
Let it pop.
Yeah, don't fight it.
Don't fight it. Really, don't negate it.
Right.
Don't negate it. You know, in class when you're studying, that's the time to really allow yourself to take those chances. So you get to become accustomed to the difference of when you're going into your head and when it's coming from spirit. And it's a different feeling. It's definitely a different feeling.
Yes. Yes. It's recognizing that when that's happening.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And obviously, as the pastor emeritus at First Quincy Church, right?
Yeah.
I've heard you speak in the most beautiful, inspired talks for the congregation. So I know a lot of people are going through some difficult times right now, and mediums and otherwise, not just mediums. But what can you offer as a little bit of a little pep talk for people who might be struggling right now?
Firstly, we all are. You're not alone. Okay. There's nobody that has gone through these last few years like a walk in the park. Each one of us has a different lesson that we're learning. When the difficulty comes, what I do, and I can only tell you what I do, when the difficulty comes, I ask Spirit, what am I learning from this? What do I need to know? How can I learn this in the most comfortable way possible? In other words, Spirit will show you what it is you need to learn. So if you allow yourself to go with that lesson and say, okay, I'm being told I need to trust. If you don't trust, they're going to give you a lesson about trust. Carolyn Mace does some beautiful writing on this.
Yes.
And, she talks about, if you came to this lifetime to learn unconditional love, somebody's going to have to test you.
Yeah.
And so those tests that we get, and we get them, no matter how good a person you think you are, you're going to get tested. Sometimes lately, I know I've said it to myself, not to other people, but now I'm going to say it on Facebook. I feel like Job, because I'm being tested. I know that I am.
Yeah.
And so as that process is happening, I have to say, okay, I trust. I just trust. I just trust. And so I will go with that and then step forward with it. Even with the difficulties that are going on, I said, and don't think I don't ever kick and cry. I do. But I know that it's in divine order. I know that this is something that I'm supposed to be doing. I know there's things that I'm supposed to be learning. And so I go with it.
It's just trusting the universe, trusting spirit, trusting life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Trusting that you're learning something from whatever this difficulty is that you're going through. That it's not for no reason at all. I say, God is not playing pinball with my life.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, I like that. I'm going to quote that on you.
I'll give you permission to use it.
God is not playing pinball with my life. Rita Berkowitz.
Okay. So, and it really is true, because we're not victims of life.
Right.
And when people consider themselves a victim, they become a victim.
That's right. That's so true.
It is. And you watch it all around, you can see it. And when people say, no, that this is what is supposed to happen, and I'm blessed and I'm going to learn the blessings. I mean, at the beginning of the pandemic, one of the things that I kept very much in mind is, what good is coming out of this? At the very beginning, when everybody was in lockdown, the skies turned blue in Mumbai, so, they all of a sudden were seeing blue skies where they never saw. They could see the Himalayas, and, because there had been so much pollution, but with no cars on the road, showed you how quickly the earth can heal, right. And, the different relationships. People are stuck in the house with their family, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So parts of it were absolutely wonderful because, you know, even when we weren't allowed to see each other, we'd do cooking. You know, my two daughters and I would do cooking in our houses, and we'd drop it off at each other's house, you know, so we'd have a piece of each other that we were sharing. Wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, not to any degree like it did happen. You had to get along with your spouse because you were stuck in the house with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there really wasn't an escape. So you had to say, okay, what do I need to do to learn how to get along?
Right.
You spent specific time doing Zooms with friends of, you know, that you wanted to spend time with that you missed. You know, you could go on Zoom, and, you know, then it got to be crazy number of Zooms that we were doing. But, you know, at the very beginning, the whole concept of doing a Zoom and being in touch with people that you loved. My siblings who live in New York, who I haven't seen since all this began, other than on Zoom, you know, and so I get to talk to them and I get to know a lot more about them. Not always the same as me. I'm very different than they are. But, you know, but I'm just thinking of how different I am than but we'll talk about it another time. But, you know, the fact that we are able to do these Zoom calls, that we're able to be in touch, that, you know, we're able to be supportive to each other. Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And we wouldn't have that otherwise.
And we wouldn't have that otherwise. 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I have to share this story because it's such a wonderful one. There were two things that happened. One was my brother and my sister kept saying, do you know who's got mom's recipe for rice pudding? Well, I'm sitting and I had been through chemo. I was not feeling well. I'm rocking on my rocking chair. And all of a sudden it appeared before me as if it was written out, typed out on a piece of yellowed old paper.
Oh, wow.
And I made it, and it tasted just like my mother's. And I sent the recipe to my brother and sister. And I laughed because it was the Jewish holidays, and that was the way we could get together. So we were on the phone. They were passing the phone. It was pre-Zoom times. We were passing the phone around the table, and everybody was talking and laughing together. I also got neuropathy in my hands. Now, for an artist to have neuropathy in the hands was horrifying.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I heard my mother say, go to Michael's. And I said, go to Michael's? She wouldn't know what Michael's is. Go to Michael's. Okay, I went to Michael's. Get some yarn and a crochet hook. Well, all I knew how to do was make a little chain, you know, from when I was a kid. And she taught me how to make a chain, 6 inches, now 2 inches, 2 into one, one into the next, 2 into one, one into the next. And I kept going around and around and made myself at least 20 hats, which I then started sharing with other patients that needed them. And, you know, made these hats when I didn't know how to crochet. So spirit will teach you. And what a gift it was to know that my mom was right there with me during this time.
Yeah.
When she had passed in 2005.
Amazing.
So, you know, again, what I've experienced in my life, there's no doubts.
Yeah.
There's no doubts.
So for anybody who, like, obviously you have this beautiful connection with your mom,
Yeah.
and you've connected with old friends as well who crossed into spirit. And what can you offer for people who are maybe not mediums, not in the spirituals realm, and are struggling with loss, with having lost somebody?
Pay attention.
Yeah.
Because they will come to you. They will give you messages. They will leave you signs. They will leave you gifts. They will bring a song on the radio that was for you, the both of you. You know, how many, we call the pennies from heavens, but it can be nickels, dimes, quarters. But, you know, all of a sudden, you know, my dad always used to give me a quarter all the time. Really, go to the candy store. Here's a quarter. Go to the candy store. Because then kids just went. You didn't have to, you know, get a ride from your parents.
Right.
So you know, when I find a quarter, especially, and there's a specific way that I always see them. When I'm getting out of my car, it will be right by the door on the driver's side, on the ground.
Wow.
I know my dad left it for me. And his ministerial daughter from this Orthodox Jewish man did not get along. Yet he still comes in from spirit and still leaves those quarters for me.
Is that amazing? So you said you didn't get along with your dad. Did you find that you had a lot of healing that happened after he passed?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the most fascinating things is in the healing with my dad, because I had done healing on him and I had done healing on me, I had to heal the relationship. So it wasn't just the individuals. You know, if you go to marriage counseling, if anybody ever goes to marriage counseling, I studied it, that you have, you know, the one partner, the other partner, and the relationship is the third patient. And so if you did have difficulty with somebody who passed over, many times they will come to make amends, which is always a fascinating thing to, especially doing the drawings after I would draw the person and then they would like, what are they doing here? You know,
all the time. That's not who I'm here for.
I want to talk to somebody else. Well, this is who came, you know. And, you know, what is he doing here? Or, you know, he abandoned our family. And I said, he's come to make amends. And, you know, it's up to you whether you accept it or not as the person who feels hurt. But realize, you know, for everybody's progression, you on the earth plane, them there, the amends have to be made. So I always say they have a 12-step program on the higher side of life because they have to make amends.
That's right. That's right. That's what mediumship's all about, is healing.
It is. It is. It is.
Beautiful. Well, I just want to mention again, for Friday night, May 7th, Rita, myself, and Lori Sheridan will be offering an evening of mediumship and spirit art online. So if you wherever you are, if you have access to the internet, you can join us. So you can go to pop this up here. The QuincySpiritualist.org for tickets. You can go to my website, laurawooster.com as well. It's on there. And I'm sorry, I didn't put your website up here
because it's changing.
It's changing. Yeah. But at the moment, it's spiritartist1.com.
That's spiritartist1.com.
Beautiful. Wonderful. And you're also teaching as well. I mean, I know you're technically retired, but you're still working.
I'm teaching at Women of Wisdom. They have the schools of wisdom. There's a school of mediumship, which is the one that I teach. There's I mentioned before, earth medicine. There's Akashic records. There's holistic healing, and there's animal communication, and the School of Wicca.
Beautiful.
So all of those are available there.
Nice. Very good. And just if you ever get a chance to study with Rita Berkowitz, absolutely do that, because there's things that you taught me 14 years ago that's still back here when I'm working. I'm like,
hear me haunting you.
Exactly. And it's the best thing ever. It really is. Yeah, it really has set the tone for my mediumship, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you so much, Rita. And it's always been an honor to work with you and to work with you again on Friday evening as well.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you. Have a wonderful week, everybody. And I'll be back again with another guest at some point, but stay tuned.
Okay.
Take care, Rita.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.